We welcome in a man who was born with basketball in his blood, a McDonald's All-American, FIBA America's League MVP, member of the 2015 United States team that placed bronze in the Pan American Games. This 10-year NBA veteran scored 3,604 points playing for 7 different franchises. He also played overseas for a few teams, so he got his traveling in prior to this pandemic. This Capricorn is a current regional rep for the National Basketball Players Association. The man with the charismatic smile that could convince carnivores to go plant-based. Although he doesn't put the grocery cart back where it belongs, he's parked in for this interview. We welcome in future GM Damien Wilkins. What's going on?
What's happening?
Sorry I had to call you out for the grocery cart, but you know that's actually that's a big thing.
Watching me, man?
That's what social media is for.
Oh, man.
Damien, it's a pleasure having you on. How are you and your family doing right now?
We're good, man. We're good. A lot of distance learning going on, a little homeschooling. That's about it, man. Just, staying low, keeping my head down, working. PA keeps me busy. So yeah, man, I'm good.
Damien's always grinding, whether it's on the court or off the court. And we want to start with your playing career, and not just in the NBA. We want to take it way back. And I know Coach wants to go way, way back.
Yes, sir. So we're a Maryland area-based pod. So I want to start to your beginning of your basketball career. After your first year playing at home in the state of North Carolina, take me back to that sophomore, junior year playing at St. John's with Jason Campbell under Stu Vetter. How was the process like moving, playing in one of the toughest leagues in the country? Go ahead.
It was I didn't want to go at first. I didn't want to go at all. My dad, he kind of made me go, but we had a long talk about this for like a month, and he was just like, "I'm telling you, it's going to be, the best thing for you. You get to play against the best competition." And he was like, "You're not getting any better here. Like, you can't be." He said he got mad at me because he got mad at the coach of my varsity team my freshman year in high school because I was starting. And he was like, "It's no way you should be starting as a freshman in high school." He was like, that tells me everything I need to know about the competition you're playing against. And I didn't understand that then. I understand it now that I have a son. So I understand it now. But, for me, I was like, well, shoot, I'm good. Like, what do you mean? Like, that's why I'm starting, because I'm better than anyone else that would be playing my position. And he was like, no. He was like,
so how did that come up? Like Coach Stu Vetter coming to Maryland?
No, Stu Vetter was my AAU team's high coach. My coach for my AAU team, he was his high school coach.
Okay.
Played with Dennis Scott on that team. And my AAU team was the Georgia Stars. And the Georgia Stars head coach name was Brian DeMolick. And he played at Georgia Tech with Dennis Scott. He played at Prospect Hall under Stu Vetter. Well, not Prospect Hall. I think back then it was called I forgot where they played. But anyway, that's how it kind of happened. The coach of that team told my dad about the prep school there. And my dad was like, "It sounds like where my son need to be. Like, I want him to play against the best in the country. And I want him to get better. I want him to get his butt kicked a little bit." And he said, "I'm tired of seeing him going in the gym and just being the best player in the gym. Like, it's just not realistic." And it was one of the best decisions we've made together, for sure. So I'm glad I went ahead and just said, "Yeah, I'll go." And I went. We were living with the coach. That was weird to me, like living at Coach Vetter's house, waking up, going to the gym at 5 a.m., then going to school. Then our lunch break, the school's lunch break was an hour. Our lunch break was only 15 minutes. Coach Vetter had us working out. And then we would have the rest of the school, then practice, go home, and then at night he'll make us come back at 10 o'clock every night. So it was like basketball all day.
And it was like college.
Yeah, it really was. But he knew. Like, he's like, look, he would tell us, he's like, look, we're not here for school. Like, we're not. You guys aren't here. I know that. You guys know that, and so we're gonna work on what we're here for. So
That
our first game lining up against one of our first games, my sophomore year I was there, we played against Tracy McGrady, and I remember sitting on the jump circle, and I'm looking over at him, and I'm like, I'm a long way from that school I just was at my but it was one of the best decisions I made for my career. Certainly because, during that time I played against, like I said, T Mac, Joe Forte, Keith Bogans, Mark Archer, DeMar Johnson, James White. I mean, I played against like all those guys. Donnell Harvey, Nick Collison, Kirk Heinrich. Like, that was our schedule in high school. So it was, every night we were playing against stiff competition, and it just it's pushed me to get better and better.
Yeah, and your next step, because you didn't stay in the Maryland area, we didn't have a chance to watch you in high school, but you played your high school ball at Dr. Phillips High School in Orlando, Florida. And as a senior in 1999, you were a monster for the Panthers, setting school records for rebounds in a game with 14, steals 8, and rebounds in a season with 389, while leading the team to a 25-8 record and a district championship. You received All-American honors and are the only representative from that school to play in the McDonald's All-American game. And I know Brad wanted to kind of touch on, coming from a family of basketball and how that develops your skill set.
Yeah, so Damien, I listening to you talk, about coming up with Stu Vetter, from afar, obviously, it sounds a lot like, what LeBron's doing with his son, Bronny. It's kind of iron sharpens iron. If he goes anywhere, in the country, he's probably starting, but on that team where it's, a bunch of guys that are already 1 through 5 in the nation,
Right.
He's coming off the bench. So by the time he's a junior or senior, he's already going to be a monster because he's going against those guys in practice. So I'm curious for you, it's not enough to just be tall or it's not exactly that you had your father or, your uncle giving you the tricks of the trade at all times growing up. So I'm curious, how did you go about curating your skill set at an early age? Was it just that iron sharpens iron?
It really was. I really, to be honest with you, again, my freshman year in high school, I didn't have much of a work ethic. I was just better than everyone else, and I knew that. Once I got to Prospect Hall, I think that's where I developed the work ethic. And my dad has always instilled in me hard work, so I wasn't afraid of hard work. But that year in high school, in particular, like I just didn't have to work hard. And once I got with Coach Vetter and the competition got stiffer, I realized that like there were places that these guys are going, and that's my competition. So in order to surpass those guys or get to those same places or higher, I had to put time into my game. So that year, like I said, my sophomore year with Coach Vetter, it started kind of the snowball effect of me realizing how much work I had to put in to be as good as I wanted to be. And, playing in his system, him, demanding so much out of myself and Jason Capel, he never put us on the same team in practice, and we were starters together. And he always matched us up with each other. So we were pushing each other every day just kind of to get better, even to the point where I didn't even like Jason Capel my first year. I couldn't stand him. And we were living in the same house. Like I would literally walk past him and not speak to him. I just did not like him. And I think Coach Vetter liked that. That was the type of guy he was. He wanted guys with an edge. And I just, he was light skinned. You know what I mean? Like I didn't like him, and like I just did not like that guy. But like he made me so much better. Every day we just worked and worked against each other. So it was a combination of my dad, when I would get back with him in the summer, and then that work ethic with Coach Vetter, even to the point when I knew I had done some of the right things is when I went back home that summer to be with my dad. And, I was in the gym working. And he was like, you done? I'm like, nah, let's keep going. And he was like, see, you did go to the right school because last year you were ready to go home after an hour and a half. So it was just a combination of all those things. I think that's stuck with me throughout my career, my life, even now. So
Did you did you ever have any doubt, that freshman year when you realized, okay, this is a different level, maybe I don't have it? Did you have to overcome that, or were you just like, it's time to go to work?
it was a little bit of both, really. I was confident. I was super confident. So it wasn't a lot of doubt, but I was like, man, I don't know if I'm ready. Like when we first got to school, he showed us a schedule. Like actually when we first got to school, what happened was we got all these packages that came in the mail, and we're in the weight room at Prospect Hall. And all these packages came one day, like our first week there. And we opened up the packages, all brand Jordan stuff, right? And we was the first team, us and Oak Hill were the first high school team to be brand Jordan high schools. And I'm looking in the box, I'm like, this shit is real. Like you can't just wear anything. We got brand Jordan stuff. Like with that logo, it did something to you back then, even now.
Yeah.
Right. So it was just one of those things where I was like, okay. And then he showed us the schedule. Like that same day, he showed us our schedule, and I'm looking, and he had Mount Zion, and then in parentheses on the side, he wrote the name of the guys on the team who were like those guys. And I'm like, we got to play against
T-Mac.
Who matchup is that? So I'm like, who? Like me and Jason, Kate, we looking at each other like, you got him? like,
Your sound cut off.
Hear me?
Yeah, now
we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so it was one of those things, man, where it was just kind of like I knew then that what we're doing now is real. Like we're in the real, we're in the big leagues now. So it wasn't a doubt, it was more like it was an excitement, but it was a nervousness too, because I wanted to make sure that I was ready. So what that did, it made me go harder. It was like, okay, I got to get to it.
And you talk about going to the big leagues, and your game caught a lot of eyes as you were the number 11 recruit out of high school, and you started your college career at NC State. As a freshman, you instantly made an impact, scoring 11.5 points per game with 5.8 rebounds, 2.3 assists, and over a steal. Got to throw that in there. Your stats were very identical your sophomore year, with a slight bump in scoring, assists, and steals. And after 2 years of playing for the Wolfpack and looking pretty promising, you initially entered the 2001 NBA draft, but decided to withdraw and transfer to the University of Georgia. Now, I'm curious because you played in a tough conference in the ACC and put up good numbers. I'm sure your initial decision to declare for the draft wasn't spontaneous, but what made you change your mind?
Well, that's a backstory to that as well. The reason why I chose NC State, because I was living with my mom before I moved in with my dad. I didn't move in with my dad till I was 14 years old. And my mom lived an hour and a half from North Carolina State's campus. And she never saw me play at my freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year of high school, like not one game. And so when I went, that was the only reason I went to North Carolina State. It had nothing to do with the school, the system, the coach, the campus, nothing.
Was NC State closer to mom than like North Carolina or Duke or some of those schools?
Raleigh is closer to Eastern North Carolina than those other schools. Well, they're all kind of in the same triangle, but Raleigh I didn't want to go to North Carolina because Jason Capel was there. Yeah. And I couldn't stand Duke. I didn't like Duke at all. I didn't want the temp haircut. I just didn't like Duke. But they recruited me. Also, Connecticut recruited me, and I wanted to go there.
Oh, we cut out with your sound again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we hear you.
I was gonna go to Connecticut, but Connecticut was wing U. Like if you were a wing with Connecticut, you were going to the NBA. That's just like that's what I called it. That's what everyone I knew called it back then, wing U. So it was between Connecticut, Florida, Kentucky. Who was the other one? I had a wild card in there, UCLA.
Okay.
But I chose North Carolina State only because I wanted my mom to see me play. And I wasn't thrilled about the decision, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and try to put up some good numbers my freshman year. See what happens. If it doesn't work out the way I wanted, I'll stay another year and then I'm out. And that's exactly kind of what happened. I went to the draft combine. I didn't like at all playing at North Carolina State because the game was so slow, right? Like we played so slow, and Herb Sendek, we would get on a break 3-on-1 and he would literally stand up and be like, stop. I'm like, my goodness, man, like I can't do this, you know, and then it hampered my scoring. Then they wanted me to play the 4, so they tried to put all this weight on me. Like I had got up to the heaviest that I've ever been, so I felt slower. It was just a bad mix. And after my sophomore year, I left. I went to the draft combine, and I rolled my ankle on the 3rd day I was there. So I couldn't finish it. So I was gonna just go back to NC State. On my way back, I flew into Raleigh, called Coach Sendek and said, hey, I'm back. I'm coming back, you know, for another year. While I'm at the airport in Raleigh, he says, don't worry about it. Don't bother. Don't bother coming back because because you leaving has already created too much of a distraction for us and we just don't need it. And I was like, wow. Like, are you serious? He was like, yeah. I'm like, you're really telling me not to come back to school? And he was like, yes. So I flew back home. I called my dad, told him what happened. My dad was livid. He's like on his way to Raleigh. And I'm like, bro, like, let me just come home. You don't have to come here. We can talk about it while I'm there. Like, and came back home and we went to visit Georgia, Georgia Tech, and actually Georgia Tech first, then Georgia. And then I sat down with Coach Herrick, and Coach Herrick wouldn't let me leave his office. He was like, I'm not going to let you leave this office without you telling me you're going to come here. So he had the whole team come in there and tell me that they wanted me to be there. He told me how he was going to play me, what positions he was going to play me in. And my dad looked at me and he was like, this the place. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I committed to Georgia right then.
That was a great decision. And, you know, during your next 2 years there, you still did your thing scoring the ball and being a playmaker. During your senior year, you earned the starting center position and averaged about 13 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, leading the Bulldogs to a 19-8 record and a top 25 finish in the AP poll. Off the court, you got your degree in communication and media studies. You ultimately went undrafted in 2004, but that didn't mean your career was over. The Seattle Supersonics took you on and you made the most of your opportunity. And speaking with you now, I see that grind and that work ethic. And that's exactly what you did that summer, putting in work in the weight room and having a big summer league. You made the team and ultimately got the chance to prove yourself at the end of the 2005 season. You had some big games, including 21 points against the Blazers, and 15 points, 6 boards, and 5 steals against the Spurs in the playoffs. You were a restricted free agent that summer, and the Sonics didn't want to lose you as they matched the offer that you got. You would play for 3 more seasons with the team, starting 74 games over that span. The team relocated to Oklahoma City the next season, and you would be a part of that transition. And you would play with a few more teams and then playing overseas. You'd have one last stint with the Pacers in the 2017-2018 season, providing a great veteran presence before calling it a career.
Hey, Eric, before we go to his pro career, Damien, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk a little bit about going undrafted and what that feels like and what it's like. You know, I'm curious because every year we see undrafted guys go and really just make their mark in the league. So I'm curious, you know, on two fronts. Number one, how were you feeling when you went undrafted, and did you expect it? And then number two, do you have any ideas to how to make the draft process better so people with your talent don't go undrafted?
Oh man, you know, college was not what I expected, as a whole, right? Like you come out of high school being top 5, top 10 in the country. You know, you expect to make more of a mark than what I did. And, you know, I don't point any fingers at anyone for that. I've never pointed any fingers at Herb Sendek. I've never pointed any fingers at how Georgia went, because I was productive. I showed in all both settings that despite everything going on around me, that I was able to still be productive on the floor. But for me, I looked at it like, okay, what can I do? What things can I change? What things can I control? Like, that's how I always looked at it. And I was like, I just got to get better. And, kind of just looked myself in the mirror and said, I'm not about to blame anyone. I'm not about to sit back and feel self-pity. Like, I'm too good for that. So I just worked my butt off, man. And then, even while at Georgia, right, we had a situation with Tony Cole, who, we going into the NCAA tournament, number 3 in the country, and he gets in trouble from not going to class, and then he tells on Coach Herrick about Coach Herrick helping him out with some extra benefits, and they suspend us for the rest of the year. So it was one of those things, man, where I was like, college just ain't for me. Like, once that happened, I was like, man, college just isn't for me, man. Like, you can look back on it and be like, man, I should have just went into the draft out of high school, or I should have did this, should have did that. But all those experiences made me better. And then you get to the draft. I'm sitting at the draft. I went, against my agent's wishes. He told me not to go because he was like, I don't know. He said Miami has high interest at the 19th pick, but I don't know for sure. He was like, but I wouldn't go if I was you because I just don't know yet. I'm not hearing anything from anyone else. I said, man, I'm going. And I went, and they didn't call my name. Miami took Darrell Wright at the time. And they told my agent the reason why they didn't take me is because they feared that they would probably have to play me. And they didn't want to take anyone in that draft that they would have to play right away. So I went home. 2 weeks later, I get a call from Nate McMillan. And the first thing I did when I went home, I just got back in the gym. Like, that was my therapist, being inside the gym. So I get a call from Nate 2 weeks later. I go to Summer League. I play well in Summer League. He called me back, tell me to come to vet camp. I come to vet camp over the summer. I'm literally in Seattle from 3 days after Summer League all the way until the end of my rookie season. Like, I just spent the entire summer there, just working, and it paid off. And even my rookie year, I didn't play, I think, in the first probably 60 games or something like that. Like, I didn't play at all. And then all of a sudden, Rashad gets hurt, Vladimir Radmanovich gets hurt, and I've been hanging with Ray Allen the whole time. So I was prepared. Physically I was prepared, but mentally more than anything, probably more than any rookie in the league that year, I was prepared just because of who my vet was. And those guys got hurt against Portland one night, and I came in the second quarter, ended the game with 21 points and a game-saving steal. And the rest, as they say,
it's history.
So
yeah, and that's a great vet to have, in Ray. And man, you played so well against Portland, they wanted you, so they signed the dotted line before Seattle said no, we need to retain this guy. But I wanted to talk about some of those highlight moments, and the first one was with Coach Nate, and I know this is a good date for you, November 16, 2007, for Seattle. It was not Kevin Durant, but you that went off for a career high 41-9 versus Atlanta, battling Joe Johnson play for play, who had 39 himself. You guys had the victory, 126 to 123. You shot 15 for 20. I mean, lights out, 4 for 5 from 3-point range. How fun was that, going heads up with Joe, and then ultimately putting a 40-piece in the win together?
Oh, man, that was like one of those things, man, where, okay, I see you. Be careful. Sorry, my son was leaving.
You're good.
Man, that was one of those games, man, where it's hard to describe, because that was the first time in the NBA that I really got in a zone like that. Like, I had good games in the NBA where I had 20s and, 24s, 25, like games like that, 19s, whatever the case may be. But that was one of those games where it was unexpected. Like, I didn't go into the game expecting to play like that. And I had played against Joe a lot in the summer because he lived in Atlanta and we would always go and play pickup together. So, you know, I knew how good he, not just from the summer, but just from his NBA career as a whole. So I went into the game and all the focus was on KD. And I just really, honestly, I just felt like, you know what, like all the focus can't be on KD at my house. Like I'm at home, like I'm from Atlanta. Like all these KD jerseys in here, like I just felt the way. And, you know, I guess my mindset started to just caught on with the physical and I just got going. And like, you know, it was times where KD was like this, like waiting for the ball. And I'm like, I'm shooting. I'm at the crib. I'm going in. And then as the game went on, he was like, keep going, keep going. And that's when I knew, like when he's telling you to shoot the ball, like, and at that time, like if you go back and look at the stats, like KD was really super inefficient. That was inefficient KD. That was like 10 for 31 KD. You know, that was like routine every other night. He was like, he may score 40, but then the next night he may score 40 again, but he may take 40 shots to get it. Like he was just shooting like all the time. So for him,
I'm pretty sure he was like low 40s that first rookie year. Yeah.
And so when he's telling you like, nah, keep going, like go, you on fire. So I just got lost in the game, man. And it was just a great feeling that I can't even describe, bro. Like it was really just one of those nights where I feel like, man, I know how these guys feel like to have a game like this now. Like this is crazy. And it you know, it was poetic too because it happened at home in front of my family, in front of my friends. Like people still talk about that game to this day. Like I was just talking to Mario West the other day. He works with the Players Association and he was like, man, you remember that game? I was like, yep, the one I had 41.
I wonder if Onk was there for that one because since it was Atlanta.
Nick was there.
All right.
My dad was there. Mario West was playing for the Hawks at the time, but I was just in one of those zones, man, where I just couldn't miss. And it was fun. It was fun, man. It was just one of those unbelievable nights, man, that I just never forget. And to this day, you guys probably won't believe me, I've never watched that game.
Oh, you have to. You have to.
Find it. It's not on YouTube. Like that highlight for that game isn't up there. And like
I've never watched the game, like sat back and watched like what happened.
We need to find that tape. So about your pop, like who's got the bigger career high? He was there.
Who has that? Well, Neek.
Well, you and your dad. Yeah, I know Neek had like 57 on Jordan. Like he's up there.
He's like, come on. But my dad, I don't know what his career high is. I have to look that up and see. We never talked. That's a really good question.
He had his sophomore year, his second year, his best year, he had 43. So he upped you by 2 points.
Upped me by 2 points. He remembers that. Trust me. Like we're Wilkins.
That's
competitive family, and you know we'll talk about games and basketball and scores that we had, and then here comes Neek with like, well, yeah, you know, I had 60 once. You know?
so they might not have that 41 on tape, Warren. If they do, send it to Triple Play because we need to see that. Send it to D Wilk. He needs to see it. But a couple highlights that I just, oh man, they're breathtaking. Two in particular. One inbound pass comes in, you catch it. KG's under the rim, he meets you, and it just smack. That one, and I know he chirps with the best of them, so to get him to maybe be quiet for maybe, 2 seconds, whatever it was, like, oh, you muted.
Only 2 seconds. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, yeah, I said only 2 seconds. You know, KG doesn't stop.
No, he's coming. And the other one is I know you explained your interaction with Kobe, and you said like it's going to look a lot fast to you, but it's going to be slow to me. And then on a fast break at that, he's chasing. LO meets you at the rim, and again you catch another one. You got Kobe on a poster and KG. So take me through those two moments.
I have that picture somewhere. I have that picture too. It's like a picture of like me dunking on them, like, because every time I tell people that, they don't believe me. So I gotta refer to the picture. But that, man, the one on KG was kind of just sneaky. I don't think he thought that was gonna happen, right? Like, he didn't think that was gonna happen. And I was like, I can't lay it up. It's KG. Like, I can't. I gotta try to attack the rim. So, you know, I got lucky with that one. And then the one on with Kobe, it was literally right before we were having a conversation. It, it was, as a matter of fact, hold on. I don't have that picture up, but I have the conversation we were having.
You kind of slowed up a little bit, like right before takeoff.
There we go. I love it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's
So
I used to look up to you my whole life. Conversation.
yeah, that was the conversation right there. And he said to me, what you said exactly. You know, look, I just asked him, I said, how is the game? Like, how does the game like feel so slow? Like, it looks like you're not being rushed at all. Like what? How do you get there? I wanted to know how you get to the point where you're not going 100 miles per hour. Like, because everything in college is, even your workouts, it's like zoom, 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 zoom. Like, but when you get to the NBA, guys are just moving at their own pace. It's like no one's rushing anything, right? So, you know, he said to me, he's like, you know, the game is just super slow to me. Like, it's and it'll slow down for you the more you play. And I remember the last thing he said was, he's like, I'll show you, don't worry about it. Watch this fadeaway I'm about to do to you when we go down the other end. I was like, the hell you are? Like, I'm about to foul the shit out you. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and then they ran, you know, solo action is what they called it in the triangle offense. Like, anytime you hear solo, it's either basically an ISO for the big or ISO for the two guard, you know, i.e. Mike or Kobe. And he shot a fadeaway on me. Like, he did it. And I was like, this motherfucker. But like a couple of possessions later, we got on that break and I was like, here we go. This is where my 100 miles per hour is about to come in handy. Right? So I'm going as fast as I can. And I'm like, and I see him and Elo out the corner of my eye. And I'm like, this is a race to the rim. My legs are younger. And this whole time, that's what I'm thinking. And I'm like, either they're going to block it, foul me, or I'm going to finish this. And if I finish it, I'm the hero. Like, I don't have to score. Right. No, I don't have to score any more tonight. If I finish this, I'm good. And
you getting the Sports Center highlight.
Right. I just jumped, man. And whew, something good happened.
Man, so
transitioning to the business side of things, I want to talk a little bit about your role with the NBPA. And, you know, earlier last year, that video of Delonte West was circulating through the internet, and Mark Cuban got a lot of attention for bringing him back on his feet, but I think you played a key role as well. You know, you were a teammate of his in Seattle. You guys lived in the same building, and I think he always knew that he had a friend in you. And the NBPA offers former and current players mental health assistance. And I know mental health hits close to home, and you've been vocal about players not needing to feel like supermen and to be able to talk about their feelings. And I think the work that you're doing will help future players feel comfortable to express themselves and not feel judged. But I want to ask you, because I know you're going to be a future GM. We fully believe in you. You're going to have to go through the interview process, though. So how would you sell yourself interviewing for that position?
Being a GM.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, man, like, it's not, you have to know players, right? Most of these GMs, the successful ones, they just know players. Knowing players, knowing what gets them, knowing how to, it's like when you go to the YMCA and you playing pickup. Like, for me, I wouldn't go to a gym and pick all of the most talented guys in the gym. I want to know who plays well together. So I'm probably going to watch the first 4 or 5 games before I even play, you know, and I may stretch, I may, you know, jump rope, I may work out, lift weights while I'm watching them play and see who's playing together. And then I will pick teams from there. Some of the best GMs in the league, I think that's what they do. They take their time. They're patient. They watch who plays well together. They know what drives players. They know who can get the best out of the other. They know if Draymond plays well with Steph because he can trust them, right? Like those are type of intangibles that you have to, that I feel like or think you should know to be a good GM. So for me, I played at every level you can play in. You know, I was good in college. I was good in high school. I played overseas. I played in the NBA. I played, you know, shoot, I don't even consider Puerto Rico overseas. I played there. I don't consider Venezuela overseas. I played there. So I've seen so many different styles of basketball and what works and what doesn't. And I think the biggest attribute I have is that all the experience that I've had, I've seen, I've been around. I don't know everything, but I know that. And for me, man, like, and then being here with the Players Association, like it's been like tutoring on the go. On like I'm over the leadership development program, which is a program that helps players get in those positions of scouting, of front office, of management, of coaching, all those things. And I've been doing this for 5 years now. I'm a member of the Sloan MIT conference that talks about basketball analytics and sports analytics. All those things that I do to study, to prepare for those things is what ultimately is going to make me a good GM. Now, will I still have things to learn, nuances, salary cap stuff? Yeah, but you can't tell me one GM in the league right now that knows the collective bargaining agreement front to back. You can't possibly know it because it changes every day.
Yeah.
So, you know, those things, I'm going to learn those things just based on who I work with. And then also hiring people to put around me that know more than me. You know,
You're hired.
That's
You're
funny
hired.
that you mentioned the Warriors, because I was talking to Brad and I was like, I thought you'd be a great fit with that team. You have a really good IQ. You're a really good defender. You would fit in that system. You could even play stretch five in these times. But my question after that is, you've never been like a superstar. You've just been a great overall player with great IQ and to me just like a winning type of player. Do you think that a different team, a different circumstance alters what people think about your NBA trajectory? And do you think these situations really mold careers?
I do. And then I would also add to that and say that, like, quite frankly, I played in the NBA for 10 years. Really couldn't care less what anyone thinks about what I did. Like, that's the pinnacle of basketball. Like, it's only 450 guys a year that does it. It's only 5,000 guys who played it. I did it. Undrafted for 10 years. I already beat the odds. So I didn't need to be a superstar. I don't care to be one now. Like, my son thinks I'm the best player in the NBA still.
There we go.
Like,
there we go.
For me, I'm not egotistical about it, right? Like, I don't, you know, I hit the lottery, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not one of those things where, like, I think too many guys don't get those front office positions and managerial positions because they carry ego in it. Whereas they don't care in a front office how good you were as a player. No one cares about that because their question to you is, how are you going to help my organization on this side of the game? What do you know that can help this organization be successful? That's all they care about. They don't care about how many points you scored. Some of the most, I would say, it's probably more role players right now in those positions than anywhere.
Is there a pathway to becoming a GM?
I think it's just about networking, and a lot of people say it's who you know, but I think it's more or less about who knows you, and I think it's about your work ethic. I think people want to see that you're not going to come in there and, like I said, be one of those guys that thinks that their career and the things that they did statistically is just all you need to know and do. Like, there's a certain work ethic that they're looking for, and for me, like, I get to be around these guys, all these guys that's making these decisions and hiring. I get to be around those guys every day based on my job. So I'm talking to them. I'm telling them what things I want to do. And I'm also asking them questions and trying to learn as well.
We're talking with Damien Williams, 10-year NBA vet, dunker on KG and Kobe, and future GM. Damien, we like to get the guests out of here for a little triple play rapid fire, just some this or that questions. You probably wouldn't have been asked or haven't been asked some of these before you game.
I'm good. I'm ready to go.
All right. Question 1. Would you rather be the wealthiest in your family or the best dunker?
In my family?
Yep. Question 1, we already got him thinking.
I'm a Wilkins, man. So I want to be the best dunker in my family.
That's the answer I was hoping you'd say. Would you rather take over for a successful GM or team or be in charge of a rebuild?
I want to do it my way.
All right, rebuild. I love it. He's doing it his way.
Yeah.
Would you rather rewind or pause your life?
Pause. I don't want to change anything.
Okay, I like a man with no regrets.
Damien,
you can only listen.
You got one album for the rest of your life. You only get one. What is it?
I'll probably flip a coin between Reasonable Doubt and Illmatic.
We'll give you both of them, and those are ones I'm taking too.
Yeah.
All right. Would you rather not be able to go to the gym for a month or no social media for 3 months?
No social media for 3 months.
What if it was 6 months?
Then so be it.
Okay. All right. I like it. The man still got to go to the gym. Would you rather a bell go off every time you're horny or never be horny again?
That bell can go off every day. I'm still a man. That bell can go off all day long for all I care.
The man doesn't care. He does not care. You can only use one utensil for the rest of your life. Are you picking a fork, spoon, or knife?
I'm a plant-based guy, so I'll take a spoon.
What? The correct answer is fork.
I'll take a spoon. I don't dig into a lot of food that I eat, really. I don't eat chicken. I don't need a fork.
What about salad?
Salad? I'm not a big salad guy. I'm more beans and rice and vegetables and a plant-based burger or.
How do you cut the burger then? You can use the fork to cut the burger up. You can't do that with a spoon.
You use utensils on a burger?
I was about to say, you don't need to cut a burger.
I'm just saying you can. All right, fine. I'll lose this battle, but I'm still sticking with the fork. We got a couple left. Would you rather wear a cape or an eye patch for a month?
Cape.
Okay. I feel like you can explain the cape easier.
Can.
And then this is a good one. I'm interested to hear your answer.
Would you rather better than the horny one?
You tell me. Would you rather fight Mike Tyson or talk like him for the rest of your life?
I'm not getting in the ring with that dude, man.
Good choice. That's a good choice.
I'm just gonna sound like him.
Do you think they'd hire you as a GM though if you talk like Mike Tyson?
They may be afraid not to.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a loophole I didn't. That's a loophole I didn't think about.
Hey,
Last
Aaron,
one here.
I got one. A family 3-on-3. This is a weird one. A dad, uncle, and son matchup. It's you, Gerald, and Dominique versus Horace, Harvey, and Jeremy Grant. Who wins that 3-on-3?
I like our chances.
Oh, what is he supposed to say? The other family?
Yeah, exactly.
I like our chances against that group.
All right, Damien. Last one. Who wins the championship this year?
I think Brooklyn is finding out right now that it's not easy to just throw talent together and find overnight success. The Lakers, I don't know of a year that I've seen LeBron play this efficient.
He's the best he's ever been.
Yeah, I think he's playing out of this world. And honestly, in my opinion, I think he has more help than he's probably. This probably the deepest. Well, you know, that Miami Ray Allen team, Rashard Lewis team was pretty deep, but this team is probably arguably his deepest team, second deepest team.
Yeah.
That he's played on, and he's playing less minutes.
They were like 6 deep on Miami. This Lakers team is like 8.
Yeah, like they're like super deep. Yeah, you're right. And then he's playing less minutes. I still don't see it for the Clippers. I just don't see it for them because it just seems like it's always something wrong with them, unless they can pull off a Bradley Beal. But what do they have to? What do they have to give up? Then
Paul George, you know.
Yeah, like they
Pat,
have to
Pat
give
Bev.
up that makes it work,
There's
right?
better
They don't have draft picks.
And they don't have draft picks, so they have to give up.
And it takes more than a year to get that chemistry, right? Like that's what you're just saying with Brooklyn. So even if they got him this year, it wouldn't do it.
Then you got Utah, who's playing great, but I just don't. I don't know if I got them down the stretch. Like it changes when you got to beat a team 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like you're picking the Lakers.
I think right now the Lakers are my pick, and LeBron is my MVP.
Well, you brought up something interesting because thinking like future GM mindset, we've been trying to crack the code on Brad Beal. We're from the DC area. What would you think the best package would be to put together to get him? Because I don't think the Clippers package would be good enough. There's probably other teams that could offer more.
Well, see, I'm old school too, like a little bit. So for me, right, like Brad Beal has to take a little bit of that accountability too. Like you signed the extension.
Yo, Damien. So I'm the lone one in this group that thinks if you have Russell Westbrook and Brad Beal, you build a team around them instead of trying to blow it up. Do you agree with that, or do you think they should blow it up?
I think they should just get better pieces around them. But Brad Beal can't be as vocal as he is about being so unhappy because you signed the extension, bro. Like you should have done your homework and asked for more pieces to come in and say, hey, let me see what you guys are doing first. But, you know, the money talked and the money won the conversation. So now you have to be responsible, just like Giannis right now is finding out. Like, you signed it. You didn't have to sign it, right? Like, you would still be Brad Beal. And I'm a fan of Brad, but I just feel like it's unfair, in a sense, how much, for lack of a better term, complaining you're doing. Like
it's a body language thing, yeah.
It works, as evidenced by Harden.
But Brad Beal doesn't want to be traded. That's the difference. Like he's come out and said he wants to stay in DC. And
the more he keeps saying that, then the more that they're gonna believe him and be like, okay, well, fine, you're stuck.
Yeah.
Unless he's, just being political, which
it's a possibility.
Yeah, that's a possibility too, but it's a hard contract to move. And then besides that, where are you going that's going to be better than that has assets?
Right.
Not all you're doing is just trading apples for oranges. You got to give up so much to get you to make the money work that you're probably going to go in another situation where, like, they still trying to build something. Like, because he can't go to the Lakers. They don't have enough. Clippers have no draft picks. Milwaukee is tied up.
Miami has no draft picks to trade.
Miami has no draft picks.
Maybe the Nuggets.
You're still not coming out of the West. Like, it's just, okay, so you'll win more games and maybe get to the playoffs, but then what?
That's true.
Yeah, I was thinking about Atlanta because John Collins is on the end of his contract. They got some young pieces. They got Reddish and Hunter and Herter, and then they still put a lot of money into these veteran guys for the summer with Gallo and Bogdanovich, and you got Capella.
Nah, man, Wizards need 2 3-and-D wings. Get some defense around them. Get some shooters. And just run it with Russell Westbrook and Brad Beal, man.
If he goes to Atlanta, or if he comes to Atlanta, it's him and Trae Young.
Yeah.
That's not enough. That's not
That's
enough.
the highest scoring backcourt that doesn't play defense.
Exactly. So they're gonna get 80 and give up 120.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They got
We
Rondo.
appreciate Damien, we appreciate you taking some time to talk with us. If you want to follow him, and he has a great social media follow, although he has no problem giving it up, you can follow him on Twitter at dwilkins3000 or on IG at dwilk3000 as well. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you listen to some future shows. Everybody stay safe.